But the family setup, your wife is okay with things. She's taking on this, new celebrity status as it would be.
I well, I mean, she'll look at it, and occasionally I'll ask her, "Hey, will you read this and tell me what you think?" And um, sometimes more begrudgingly than other times, she'll read it for me and say, "Hey, did you think about this?" And oftentimes she actually will catch some things that I didn't catch, or like, does this sentence mean what you probably it? This is what it looks like to me. Is that what you meant? So it's nice to have another set of eyes, but I also don't want to go, overburden her with that, because it's not really her thing.
Well, that was what I was getting at. Is she like a science fiction and fantasy kind of person herself, or is it just humoring you because she loves you?
Yeah, I think it's more of the latter. Although, without any prompting from me, maybe a month or two ago, she at the used bookstore she found this complete set of The Hobbit and the Lord of the Rings books, and they're these little uh, kind of like fake leather bound,
Oh,
pocket-sized books.
fun.
Yeah, so she grabbed that and just started reading them. So I thought, well, this is great. So I've tried to encourage that a little bit.
I will encourage anyone to read more anarchists out there. So, so kind of moving along, getting into the marketing part of things. So, how did you start spreading the word? You've got this new thing out there. What was the first way that you started trying to draw attention to what you were doing?
Yeah, the first thing that we did was it was on Twitter, if we're still calling that. I'll probably always call it that.
It'll always be
Um,
called Twitter by the old people.
yeah. So it was pretty much exclusively, doing some Twitter threads on some topics that were of interest to us and trying to spread things that way. And then I think it also that gives a way to a little bit of word of mouth, where somebody might see it online and tell somebody else that they know. Um, we've done so it's all been online and trying to build those kind of relationships. Um, we would like to do uh, more if we can get some funds worked up to maybe get a print ad in some of these other magazines that we've already made connections with, or would have potentially some overlap in readership. So we're looking into that as well.
Well, I will say this: if you guys would like an ad up on my website, by all means, we'll talk and get an image. So I'd love to promote what you're doing. Now, as far as the fundraising, what type of model did you guys use? Did you do Kickstarter or Indiegogo kind of thing, or did you like just make it yourself, put it up on Amazon, and see what happens?
Yeah, that's what we did, and we talked a little bit about trying, Kickstarter or Patreon, those kind of things. But ultimately, I had a little bit of money from a story that I sold, Picture Sofa. So I, threw that in the pot and said, "Hey, we'll use this to get started." And it wasn't a ton, but it was enough to kind of get things rolling. Um, and I guess out of the goodness of their hearts, and in exchange for having their name on something published and a free author's copy, folks were willing to send us some stuff that we could publish. Um, Now, hopefully, I mean, we want to get to the place where, the verse in the Bible that says the worker is worthy of his wage. So we want to be able to, hey, if you're sending us something, we're not paying you just in publicity, which is not much coming from us to begin with, but like what you are exchanging with us is something of value. So we want to exchange value for value and get to the point where we can be, you know, maybe not professional rates, because I don't see us getting that big that quickly, but enough to say, hey, your time and effort is worth something, and we want to make sure you're compensated for that.
So, given like the background and kind of the way that you try and keep things, I'm curious. I mean, have you tried to capitalize on the angle with being a Christian friendly publication? Is that like part of the marketing that you guys have? Have you gotten into any I don't want to say like deals with any, with any church organizations, but have you considered going that route, finding ways to advertise within that community specifically?
Yes. So we have been. I've been fortunate to have a few guys within the group who do have some connections to some other organizations, and they're kind of working those connections as we speak. And hopefully that'll be fruitful because there's kind of a general complaint in broader right wing circles, right, where you'll see complain about there's no good art anymore. Why don't we have these great, the beautiful sculptures in the cathedrals and those kind of things? Why don't we have media and stories that are not, put out by people who hate us, to use the phrase? Um, and so, I mean, I've already said that's kind of what we're trying to do, but there are the outlets that can, they have a platform to kind of throw a spotlight on some of these things. So um, hopefully we can work those connections and kind of get the name out there and show people like it's not a wasteland. You might have to work a little bit harder to find it, but it's out there if you're willing to look for it.